Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining early. Allow us some more minutes to let everyone joining because today we have Southeast Asia region. So some colleagues might be still in their lunch.
Yes, that's true. No worries. We can give some time for that.
Okay, I think we can start first and let everyone joining later. Hi everyone, thank you for joining early. I'm Jessie Janati, the Regional Marketing Manager at Yes Education Group, and I'm specializing in UK and Europe recruitment. I'm based in Indonesia. So today we have Miss Janini from Oxford Brookes University. She's covering Southeast Asia region, and later we'll explain about modern Oxford as our main topic today. Okay, I think without further ado, I will over it to you, Janini. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Jazzy, and thanks a lot for even arranging this. So, for those who have joined today, thank you so much for taking your time. And I am sure that today's session would be really helpful for you in knowing Oxford Brooks. And for those of you who may know, it's just an additional update for you. So, as Jazzy mentioned earlier, I'm Janani, and you can call me Jane. And I'm fairly new to Oxford Brooks, but I think 4 months along the journey was just good enough to know how great Oxybrook is as a product for me to, enlighten all of you today. So without any delays, I will get moving with my presentation for the day. So starting off with Oxford as a study destination. So I think all of us here in this call, especially, we don't really need any introduction when we say Oxford, because Oxford has been in there in our childhood, in our days of growing up, even as an individual in school. Oxford is very well known as a academic city, as a educational brand. So I think that's really one of the biggest plus point of the Oxford Brookes University, which is the location itself. So for some of you who have not been to Oxford, just a bit of glimpse for you is that Oxford is very closely located to London. And also from the Heathrow and Gatwick airports. So, in terms of students' commute, it's very, very easy because it only takes them an hour from the train. If they're using the train, then it's only an hour. And if they're going to take the bus, which we have a lot of direct buses, it's going to be about 80 minutes. And Oxford has two universities in one city. So one, definitely all of you know, the Oxford University itself, which is segmented across the city center. And us, OBS, which is Oxford Brookes University, which later I will talk to you more about where exactly we are located and how many campuses we have. And if you see in terms of the student population, we are 1 in 4 adults are students. So mostly all of them are young adults. Mostly everybody is doing different levels of studies from foundation up until PhD. And also, Oxford is a center for industry and enterprise, which helps us to promote better in terms of employability, placement, and things like that. And last but not least, a very interesting point, if you don't know, as an Oxford Brookes University student, they can access the Bodleian Library, which is part of Oxford University itself, and also the Oxford Union as a whole. So this is something like a very key specific thing only for Oxford Brookes University student, because not any other students would get a free access to the Oxford Library itself, right? So this really gives them a good exposure in the latest learning resources, and also making friends with those who are from Oxford University itself. So why Oxford Brookes is definitely because of its world famous city, like I mentioned on all the points earlier. So I think without any compromise, we can go for it when we talk about Oxford as a overall study destination. And it's very career focused because most of our academics is blended with industrial relevant case studies. So we want to equip them with all these ongoing industrial updates rather than just theoretical part of studies. So this would cover a whole range of programs, which later we will see what are the programs that we offer. And for a student in the city of Oxford, I think it's very easy for them to have a well-balanced student life because they have regular coaches to explore London, and it's very commutable, like I said. So they also have historical buildings. This is something very interesting for students who want to come and study architecture program with us, especially, which is quite popular among Southeast Asia students, because one fun fact is that our architecture program is RIBA and LAM accredited. So LAM is specifically for Malaysian students, but RIBA as a whole, Royal British Architectural Board is accredited. So it's something really like a go-to, and most of the case studies would be via site visits where they go to all these interesting architectures around Oxford itself. And it's a very historical city, but at the same time it's not boring because it has really good green spaces, parks, clubs, lots of things that students would like to explore, student community to support each other. So it's a whole around great experience. So this is just a picturized moments of life in Oxford, where you have a really good balance of the greeneries, you have good shopping, you have got good walking areas, and as a whole to explore the city center. So moving into subject areas, you could see that we have a quite a wide platter of subject areas. So if you got students, so all of you in this call today are from different regions, and I'm sure you are the experts of what subject areas your region is looking forward more towards. So you could see that we also offer an array of them, starting from business side, architecture, law, biosciences, and law even. But then if you want to ask me what exactly is your top programs, I would first start off with the ranking. So if you look at the overall ranking, as part of the QS ranking, we are the top 25% of global universities, which is like 374th place. But then if we look into subject specific, I think we're doing way better because we're ranked second in hospitality and leisure management. And it's really a good program, especially for those who are from Indonesia. I would like to shout out to you that we are part of the LPDP scholarship, especially for this program in terms of hospitality and leisure management. And in terms of marketing, we are also moved up in the top 50s. We are now in the 41st place. And overall, we are like a go-to for business programs and nursing and motorsports. So to differentiate our flagship programs and regional specific programs. So I'll start off with the flagship programs. So flagship programs are basically the ones that you see on the right, which I will also let you know that if at all you have interest from students in these areas, which is motorsports, mechanical engineering, automotive, therapy, midwifery, which are also ranked very well in the UK, which is second in the UK, third in the UK, and things like that. For these programs, they close very early in the year. So, for example, for this September intake, all of these programs mentioned on your right, they were closed as early as February. So you could see how popular these programs are. And if you have interest from your students in these subjects area, just try and get them to secure a conditional offer first, because later when the program is actually closed, then there's no any way that we could get the student in for these particular programs, because these programs don't even open in the clearing because they are that so full, I would say. So that's one of the scenario that I could explain based on a few years from this year, last year, and the following years as well. So we look at regional perspective, meaning to say which program is popular in which region. So in that case, I would say for Malaysia, we're popular for architecture and law program. And for Thailand, they also choose their law programs with us because Thailand is also listed, for example, Oxford Brookes is listed in their judicial list of law. So it's easy when they come and do the law program here. They don't really have to worry if it's part of their judicial list or not. And a lot of PG programs, for example, Philippines, lots of students come in for our PG programs in terms of nursing, physiotherapy, and also definitely business is number one for this region specifically. And for Indonesia, it has been quite a mix at this moment, but I would still say mostly were towards the business side of programs. So what you're seeing right now is the International Student Advice Team, which is a very important team in the university that is going to help support your students to finally step into the university and also to settle down once they are enrolled with us. So this team comes into the picture right after they have been given a course, and from there onwards they will give regular updates. And if you have students that are facing any issues in terms of the course or visa, anything that is quite complicated and not very straightforward, this team, which is the ENGLSIH team in the university, are very approachable in the sense that they have these daily Zoom call links where you can fix an appointment for the Zoom call, and you can actually go into the call with your student or your prospective student to get some advice on these ENGLSIH related matters. So with that few minutes of consultation, at least you got a very good, clearer picture of any of these complicated cases in terms of CAS and visa if you ever face. But so far for Southeast Asia, we don't really have those kind of very complicated things because as a whole, we are falling in the low risk and the medium risk in terms of visa. So ENGLSIH team is very helpful in that sense for preparing arrivals, immigration advice, welcome week, and so on. So now let's go to campus wise. So like I said, we are also in Oxford, but where exactly and how many campuses do we have? So in this screen, what you see is this image of our Headington campus. So Headington is like the main campus for Oxford Brookes. We have another campus in Swindon, which is also within Oxford, just that I think from here to there, it's about a good 15 to 20 minutes. It's also walkable where the nursing programs, physiotherapy and all are located. So for Headington campus, it's going to be focusing on all the business programs, mechanical engineering, all sorts of engineering, basically, law programs and things like that. So all of those programs, they will be at the Headington campus, where they have all access within the campus when it comes to gym, sports, or even accommodation is very walkable. And they've got their food outlets, cafes, medical center, dental, everything is within just walking distance for the students. So there's no need of worrying to actually go to the city center to get some of these facilities, whereby everything is well prepared within the campus. And the next one is the Swindon campus. So if you've got students who are looking into nursing, midwifery, physiotherapy, I would say Swindon campus is more like a very modern hospital, because they're very well equipped with all these facilities to give them like a real life experience of being a nurse, of being a physiotherapist, because they have got this program where these students would actually do real life case studies. So they invite this group of actors, basically, who really could act really well. They come in and then they would do like a scenario whereby they act like a patient who suddenly got a cardiac arrest or something, and student would do like a real time case management, and they would like really call the ambulance, how quick they respond. So all of these are taken consideration into their marks, and it gives them a very real experience, rather than just theoretically studying something and then just doing it as it is, and in terms of experiment. But this gives them like a very real life scenario, so they get very motivated, and they could really see how they would respond when an actual emergency takes place. So it's very interesting when we visited the Swindon campus to know these kind of things. So the next one is definitely accommodation. Definitely, moving to somewhere very far from the home country, accommodation is a key aspect that is looked into. So for Oxford Brookes University, no need to worry, because accommodation is already prepared in campus, whether it's for undergraduate or for postgraduate, of course, including the foundation. So we've got separate halls where PG students have their halls, and UG students also have their halls. And they've got a few types that you can choose from. I would say mostly are single rooms. They also have what accommodation. And most of these come to the benefits of the utility bills are covered in the price they pay for the accommodation. So Wi-Fi and other connections are available throughout the campus, so no need to worry about that. And one advice perhaps you can give your students or parents is that when looking into accommodation, it's always a better choice to stay in campus rather than choosing to stay out campus, because in Oxford, living out of campus is going to be really expensive, and I could say that the range would go at least 2 to 3 times higher than what they're going to pay in campus. So if you're asking me what is the range of accommodation, the good thing is that for Oxford Brookes we have this installment plan for accommodation up until 8 times. So if you've got these 8 times installment payments that you can do, so students would basically go to the website, choose the accommodation, and it will give them directly what is the installment and by when they need to pay. So I would say the minimum is around £480, and the maximum would go up until 780 to £800, depending which hall they possibly choose. And secondly, what you need to note about accommodation is that your student can go in and apply, or you can apply for your student for the accommodation as long as they got the conditional offer already. But your student will not be allocated the room until they get their unconditional offer. So do not panic when you have put in the application but haven't heard back on the room. It's normal, because you can put in the application very early with the conditional offer, but the room will only be allocated once the offer status is updated to unconditional. So if we've got this very serious student, then please work towards making them meet the conditions as full as possible, so that they could also secure the accommodation much earlier and get the rooms that they exactly want to be in. So it's very accessible. So this is just one of the pictures that you see, but then we've got this virtual tour online where you could go and see through these links. So don't worry that these slides later, I think Jazzy's team will be sharing with you guys, so you could try and explore a bit and see what other information you want to know about the accommodation. Also, we have this thing called Brookes Union, whereby where students get to indulge in various kind of sports and facilities, societies engagement, because we don't want them to just have like a boring student life. At the end of the day, they need to have a, the whole lot of experience studying in the Oxford and also in the UK. So they've got all these student managed clubs and societies where they could really explore, and they could really start off even their own clubs and societies if they have a different kind of interest. And this would actually build a lot of their management skills in terms of leadership and things like that. And I would say mostly students actually enjoy because of the variety that we usually provide. And we also have this very active student sport facilities and clubs. And the go-to spot for our Oxford Brookes students is that from crickets, rugby, they're all quite popular. They're very active. They take part in a lot of competitions. So over 30 teams competing in British universities and college. So they compete among the other universities and colleges in the UK. So that's a really good platform to explore their sport side of skills. And we've got gyms, we've got courts, pitches, everything to train them, whatever they need to train themselves as a sports person, or really getting in shape to be like a really fit person. It's really a very well balanced facility, I would say. So these are just some of the clubs that you can see, but there's more than this. So when you click on the website links, you would see more and more popping up, because every September there would be new sports of societies introduced based on that particular batch interests. So if there's more than, I think, 15 students with the same interest type, they usually get a new club or society formed, and then they run it on their own, which actually gets the number moving bigger. So when it comes to international scholarship, I'm sure definitely this is something, a very important question being asked to you. And at this point in time, what I can confirmly tell you, because now we've already passed the September intake, but then for the upcoming January intake onwards, one thing that for sure you could try and tell is that we do have a minimum of £2,000 for the Southeast Asia students, but this would exclude Vietnam, because like I said, so Vietnam is actually not part of my portfolio, because it is how to say, it's managed by my colleague in the UK. So usually when it comes to scholarship and everything, it will be for all the Southeast Asia excluding Vietnam, because they have a different set of scholarships or budgets based on the UK side. So for scholarships, you can expect at this moment maximum would be around £4,000 to £5,000 per year. But since I don't have a confirmation for the upcoming intake, I haven't put it here. But then when you click on this particular link for scholarships, all the latest information will be updated. By default, a student would minimum secure £2,000, but the additional amount, like I said, £4,000 or £5,000, would only come in place once we've gotten our confirmation for the next academic year. If you ask me for progression scholarships, yes, we do have progression scholarships, mostly for business school programs. It's more like a school-specific scholarship. So for students who come in to do foundation, they would secure 2,000 to 4,000 for the foundation year first, and then when they progress to the undergraduate with us, they can get up to 20% discount from their tuition fee. So these are some of the ones that was practiced in the past. So I'm just letting you know as a overall, but then it's always best to double check in this scholarship link once it's updated. And as soon as I got the January or 2027 updates, I would be sharing it with Jazi so that you guys would have a clearer picture on the scholarships, because sometimes we also do specific scholarship campaigns for certain timelines. So that will all be shared with you as we start running for the 2027 intake. So just for you to visualize a bit, at this point for the academic year 2026-2027, our fees is approximately, I would say, quite on the standard side of it, which is around £17,000 up until £19,000 from various programs. The same for postgraduate as well. But maybe when you go to the website, you would see a slight increase in some programs, whereby the maximum would be now like 21 to 22,000 pounds, right? So, but this would be like the starting range of fees that you would be expecting for Oxford Brookes. Also, we are quite popular when it comes to placement for most of our programs. So for PG and UG, we've got these placement options, and placement is directly well collaborated with our careers team in the university. So the careers team in the university do a lot of, like, a wide range of support for our students. It's from one-to-one support in terms of online vacancy services, CV writing, and things like that. And the good thing is that they work closely with this team called as WAVE. So WAVE stands for Work and Voluntary Experience Services Team. So Oxford Brookes University careers team has collaborated with WAVES in order to support our students when it comes to placement opportunities, because um, you know for a fact that the UK is now being very competitive in terms of placement, because everybody is applying, everyone is trying to get a work opportunity or an internship just to make their CV look better. But again, there's only like limited opportunities there. So in order to give a better platform, we are working with this team called Waves, so that our students could get access to these local United Kingdom companies. So we've got these real good brands, like international brands like Apple, BMW, Deloitte, of course the big fours and things like that. But if everybody would aim for that, who's going to go for these local UK brands? So this is what Waves do. They also connect our students with the local UK brands, which are pretty much very much competitive as well. And this would give our students a really secured placement opportunity. So when they finish the studies and placement, they've already got a UK working experience on their CV. And I think most of our students actually go for these placement opportunities. So definitely you guys would be wondering about the entry requirements and things like that. So here I'm showing you those generic ones, which is going to be from IB, A levels and things. After this, I will go to you specific on your region specific entries. So when we talk about foundation, like a 1 year foundation, you could see these are some of the entry requirements that we would accept based on which level your students are studying. So for example, if it's a AS level, we're looking into 3Cs. If it's a, we've got 32 points, which is 2Es, also possible. So it's going to be quite case by case, I would say. So if you have students that are very close to the entry, then feel free to still check with us, because sometimes it is an overall case to case judgment by our academics, I'm sorry, our admissions team, and also academics at some point of time, because some of our programs require interview and portfolios as well. So even though academics may not be meeting exactly, sometimes their interview points and their portfolio would also help. So it's always worth checking. Don't worry about the entry requirement much, because for Oxford Brookes, when you go to the program page, you will automatically see what is the generics. And then they also have country specific requirement. So when you click on country specific requirement, then you can see what exactly is needed for your student from Indonesia, for example, or from Philippines, for example. So not really a hassle to find on that. So for postgraduate, you could just remember as a whole, we are looking for a second class honors, a lower, upper, anything, as long as it's a second class. And usually we don't accept medium of instruction, especially for any local institutes. But if your student is doing undergraduate from a branch campus, a UK branch campus in your country, then of course the English can be waived. But if it's going to be like a local university, but you're using your medium of instruction, unfortunately, it won't be accepted. A student will still need to give us IELTS or any other equivalent qualification. So we do have our own pre-sessional English as well, which will test the same components as per IELTS. So it's going to be a 6 to 12 weeks range. And later I will talk to you more about the English, but now let's get into the entry requirements for Southeast Asia first. So on this screen, I have tried and fit in some of the key entries for you. So I'll just go quickly one by one. So for Malaysia, if any of you are here from Malaysia and if your students are looking into going for foundation directly starting in the UK, then of course you're just going to look for 5 subjects in SPM with C and above. Most importantly, the English and mathematics covered in there. And as you can also see, the undergraduate, you can use your matriculation as TPM and any local foundation. Um, but some foundation depends, because we will cross-check again on the syllabus and things like that. For postgraduate, it's almost the same for most regions. As long as you got a second class, you are able to start off. And then you have Singapore, as per mentioned on the screen. And for Indonesia, as I understand, mostly might be Indonesian reps over here in the call. So I would like to highlight to you that currently, in order to come in, definitely the SMR will require you to do a foundation first before coming in. But then, one slight good news is that we are trying to explore if SMR together with the SAT, which is the way how they do the American high school diploma plus the SAT. So we're trying to see if SMR plus SAT would help to get into the year one or not. So this is currently in the exploring stage. So once that has been approved or finalized, we could explore on the markets where students have got SMR and then they've got these SAT subjects to support to go into straight year one rather than doing a foundation first. So I will get more confirmation on this and then I will be sharing with Jazzy. And then if that's a good go, then I think we could really grab more students for year one entry rather than doing the foundation. But I also understand for Indonesia, maybe not many are doing the American curriculum. But if there is, then it's a good opportunity to add it in. For Thailand, it's usual the MAU 6 that they use for secondary education, and then they will do the foundation first. So mostly you could see they would still require a foundation. And for postgraduate, it's very straightforward, second class honors and above. If you have qualifications other than this, just feel free to check on our websites, or you can get in touch with the Yes Education team and then they'll be able to help you further. So going back to the pre-sessional English, we do have our own pre-sessional English, which normally commences in the month of June, July. But additionally, letting you know, if your student is falling short by a few components of scores in the IELTS, or maybe they don't want to take IELTS, they just feel it's not going to work out, or they took IELTS but it's very low in terms of score, Oxford Brookes, we give you a free Duolingo test code. Okay, so for those who don't want to do IELTS or who have done IELTS and have a lower score and not meeting the entry requirements for the English, then we will be able to offer you a free Duolingo test code. But then, in order to get this test code, student need to first hold a conditional offer with us first. Okay, so once your student got the conditional offer and you see they need to meet English requirement, then you can let us know. We will be happy to give them the free Duolingo test code in order for them to meet their English requirements. And we also work with the ELLT, which is Oxford English Language Center. And we also give discounts for those who want to do that part of their English requirements. But mostly everybody actually chooses a Duolingo because it's a much easier and quicker option, because their results will be out within 3 to 4 days, and they also go through the same components where it's similar to IELTS. If at all your students are looking into pre-sessional, then you could see what score in the IELTS would equalize to how many weeks that they need to be studying. But just keep in mind that most of it starts only in the month of June. Okay, so very important part, how to apply. So I'm sure most of you would think that UCAS is the only way, but then for Oxford Brookes, you can just do a direct application. You don't really need to go through UCAS unless your student has put us in one of the UCAS choices, it's fine. But if they're quite firm and if they're quite specific about the programs they want, you can just launch a direct application. And I would say it's much more easier as well, because we would be able to support much better when it comes to direct applications compared to UCAS, because UCAS have their own deadlines and their own protocols at times. But if it's a direct application, it's very easy for us to monitor and to also help support you. So just remember this, that in order to apply to Oxford Brookes University, you can do direct application. You don't have to go through only UCAS. So for UG, you can do direct application, and PG definitely direct is possible. So, what is needed? I'm sure all of you are experts in this. So I'm not going to touch much on this, but just to let you know, the key things are definitely the academic qualifications and English requirements. So, when you talk about academic qualification, maybe some of the students haven't got their actual transcripts and things like that. So, just to let you know that we do accept the completion letter. So, as long as they got the completion letter from their college or university to state that they have finished the studies and they are expecting their transcripts and degree certs or whatever academic requirements by which month, we are able to accept that to meet their academic condition. And English, I think we've covered. Personal statement is quite the basic ones, and reference, of course. We normally prefer academic reference. And I think the CAS and the visa, I'm not going to go very deep because that's just going to be part and parcel of the process. And we've got our team internally to help support on that. So anytime you have any questions on this, just feel free to reach out, and the teams will be able to assist. And even I would be able to connect with the relevant department if anything needed. So yeah, I think that's all. I think it's been quite a long time of me alone talking. So now we'll just open it for Q&A. So definitely, I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay, thank you, Janine. We have the first question here. Can the
Yeah.
students be granted for tuition scholarship when they join clubs?
Not exactly, because it doesn't work in that way at Brooks. It will be considered more of like a separate thing because we don't have sports scholarship or sort of those kind of things. So, in that sense, the answer would be no.
Okay. Jadi, since some of the students from Indonesia are nowadays taking BTech or like spending 2 or 3 years in Indonesia and then they want to transfer later on in the UK,
Mhm.
is there any specific requirements perhaps for them to
Uh,
complete
you are looking into BTech?
BTech and the local institutions in Indonesia, like local
Okay.
universities?
So meaning to say they have done like at least up until year one in that
Yes, correct.
Pacific universities. Yes,
Mhm.
that's also in the medium of exploration, because just like how they are now checking on the SMA plus the SAT for the year one entry, we are also looking into this option where students could come straight into the year two, because Oxford Brookes is known for the year two and final year entry. So we're just trying to, but then I think when it comes to this, we have a specific list of universities that we allow this
Mhm.
to happen. So I think the list is still on the finalization. Once the list is finalized, I will be able to give you which specific universities that we can directly accept into the year two.
Okay. In terms of like placement and employability, Janine, can the students get the range of their salary perhaps if they got the salary from the placement?
The placements, so definitely it is a paid placement. That one is, it's no doubt. But the range actually really depends. The last time when I checked with the business school, they mentioned it could be up until like 1,008 to 2,500 pounds around there, but that's purely based on the company and also the program that they are attached to. But for those who are in the engineering and things like that, they probably could go for a slightly higher range, but for business average, this would be the usual count.
Yeah. Another question, Janine, is still regarding the entry requirements. Like the US like political and educational situation is not that good nowadays, and some of the students currently studying for the college in the US,
Mm. Mm.
public college, and then they want to transfer to the UK. Is it like the final year or the second year if they want to go to Oxford Brookes?
Mostly, we have got this kind of assessment for September, and usually the what I
Mhm.
see, it is now approved only for up until year two. Year two is the one that I commonly
Okay,
see right now. Yeah,
so they should go for the second year then.
second year. So they will still be
Okay,
spending 2 years in the UK.
okay. They're still required to take IELTS, or it can be waived if they studied at community college in the US.
They have a specific subject. So English has to be part of their subject that they've covered in their academic, and I think there's a spot to that. Later, I will give you the specific requirement. If they have that requirement, then it can be waived. If not, then they still need to take
Okay,
the IELTS.
okay. We have a question from Thailand here. For Thailand entry requirements, if the students get a high GPA, like 3.3, still can apply for direct BA.
Is this referring to the MAU 6 requirement, or because as I understand, for Thailand, regardless their score, they will still need to do the foundation first if it's the MAU 6.
Okay, perhaps the option is to take SAT as well, right?
Yes, if they have the SAT, so I can show some of the scores here for the SAT part. So you could get like so this is the SAT combination that we're looking at. I hope the screen is able to be seen right now.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, so this I would also share this document later to you, Jazzy. So this is for those who are following the American syllabus or anyone that is going to additionally support it with the SAT combined scores. So this would be the range that we're looking at. So we will accept as long as we have at least 2.0 in the first year for these mostly undergraduate courses. But of course, it's an option for those local high school combined with the SAT. That is possible for most of the SEA countries, except for Indonesia, that we are waiting for the confirmation.
Okay, thanks, Jenny. So I would like to also remind the attendees here that Oxford Brookes is listed in LPDP scholarship for
Yeah.
hospitality. So if you have any potential students, perhaps LPDP awardees, and currently struggling with their IELTS, Janine has
Yes.
some vouchers for them to
Yep.
use the internal test.
Yes, and I think that is much more achievable by students based on those who have taken the test with us. I think they really did well compared to their IELTS scores. So feel free to let them know if they've secured already. Yeah.
Okay, Janine, one more question regarding the cohort of Southeast Asian students. Uh, what are the top three like biggest community at Oxford Brookes University?
At this point, I would say Thailand, Philippines, followed by the combination of Malaysia and Singapore. And then Indonesia, because Indonesia is also because of the presence that
Mm-hmm.
wasn't that much for Oxford Brooks. But I think slowly towards 2027, we are moving to bigger these numbers as well. But at this point in the campus, these are the main markets we see, which is Thailand, Philippines, followed by Malaysia plus Singapore.
Okay, noted then.
Yeah,
Then it's our job to get you more
definitely.
students from Indonesia. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's how we even collaborated, right? So we want to get that Indonesian, we want to have our own Indonesian student club, just like how the other students already have their clubs
Yeah.
in the campus. So yeah,
Okay, I think we have answered all the questions. Anyone has any more questions, just feel free to drop in Q&A box. Or if you want to talk directly, I can also allow you to open your microphone. Just raise your hand. Janine, please share me the presentation slide later on
that
so I can share it to everyone.
Sure. So I will be sharing the presentation together with some of the specific entry requirements for the region and also
Mm.
for the American High School SAT requirements. So later you could share it with all of them. And if you guys have any questions after this call and if you needed to check, then just let Jazzy know and then I'll be happy to address with whatever mediums that we want. And of course, if you have any prospective students, I think we can do call with them anytime. So I forgot to mention this support. So we do give this kind of support where even though they are prospective students, they don't have an on offer yet with Oxford Brookes. If the parent and the student wants to connect with the university rep and want to speak more, you can arrange it, and I will be happy. It will be me or my boss to talk to the parent or student if you need some help in convincing them, or even to know more about the university. We are happy to do that.
Okay. Thank you so much, Janini, for the presentation. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I think we can conclude today's session. Hope everyone
All
has a
right.
great day. Bye.
Yep. All right. Thank you, guys. Bye. Have a nice day.